Joseph's life story, a prefiguration of Christ, Genesis 37-50. The story of Joseph in the book of Genesis stands as one of the most compelling narratives in the Hebrew Bible, not merely for its dramatic plot, but for its profound theological implications. Joseph's journey from rejection by his brothers to eventual exaltation as a ruler in Egypt presents striking parallels to the life of Jesus Christ, making Joseph a powerful typological figure in Christian theology. Through careful examination of Genesis 37-50, we can observe how Joseph's experiences of suffering, betrayal, and ultimate triumph prefigure the redemptive work of Christ. Joseph's story begins with his special relationship with his father Jacob, who loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, Genesis 37-3. This preferential love manifested in the famous coat of many colors, a distinctive garment that set Joseph apart from his brothers. Similarly, Christ is described as the beloved Son of God, with the Father declaring at Jesus' baptism, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," Matthew 3:17. Both Joseph and Jesus were uniquely beloved by their fathers, receiving special favor that would ultimately lead to conflict with their contemporaries. Joseph's prophetic dreams revealed his future dominion over his family, causing his brothers to hate him even more. These dreams, while initially appearing to be expressions of youthful arrogance, were actually divine revelations of God's sovereign plan. Christ similarly spoke of his future glory and the establishment of his kingdom, though his contemporaries often misunderstood or rejected these proclamations. Both Joseph and Jesus received divine visions that predicted their eventual exaltation. Yet these revelations became sources of opposition from those closest to them. The most striking parallel lies in the betrayal both figures experienced at the hands of their own people. Joseph's brothers, consumed by jealousy and hatred, plotted to kill him before ultimately selling him into slavery for 20 pieces of silver. This act of betrayal by his own family mirrors Christ's betrayal by Judas Iscariot, who sold Jesus to the religious authorities for 30 pieces of silver. In both cases, the betrayal came from those who should have been closest and most loyal, highlighting the depth of rejection both figures endured. Joseph's time in Egypt was marked by unjust suffering, including false accusation by Potiphar's wife that led to his imprisonment. Despite his innocence and faithfulness, Joseph endured years of bondage and incarceration. This period of suffering parallels Christ's passion, where Jesus faced false accusations, unjust trial, and crucifixion, despite his perfect innocence. Both figures demonstrated remarkable patience and trust in God's plan during their darkest hours, never abandoning their faith despite overwhelming circumstances. During his imprisonment, Joseph's gift for interpreting dreams brought him to the attention of Pharaoh's officials. His accurate interpretation of dreams demonstrated divine wisdom and understanding, eventually leading to his audience with Pharaoh himself. Christ similarly demonstrated divine wisdom in his teachings and parables, revealing heavenly truths through earthly illustrations. Both figures served as mediators between the divine and human realms, bringing God's revelation to those in positions of power. Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dreams led to his dramatic elevation from prisoner to second in command of Egypt. Pharaoh placed his signet ring on Joseph's finger, clothed him in fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck, declaring that all of Egypt would bow before him. This remarkable transformation from suffering to glory parallels Christ's resurrection and ascension, where Jesus was exalted to the right hand of the Father and given all authority in heaven and earth. Perhaps the most profound parallel lies in the ultimate purpose of both figures' suffering, the salvation of others. Joseph's position in Egypt enabled him to save not only the Egyptian people but also his own family from famine. When his brothers came to Egypt seeking food, Joseph had the power to take revenge but instead chose forgiveness and reconciliation. Similarly, Christ's death and resurrection provided salvation for all humanity, including those who had rejected and crucified him. Both stories demonstrate how God can use suffering and apparent defeat to accomplish his redemptive purposes. Joseph's life story serves as a remarkable prefiguration of Christ's redemptive work. Both figures experienced rejection, betrayal, suffering, and ultimately, glorious exaltation. Both used their positions of authority not for personal gain but for the salvation of others. However, while Joseph's story points toward Christ, Jesus represents the ultimate fulfillment of these themes. Joseph saved his family from physical famine, but Christ saves humanity from spiritual death.